You're listening to Death Metal Disco. Hello, my darling friends and listeners and family maybe, and anybody else who just happens to be listening to this. Welcome back to Death Metal Disco, a podcast truly about very few things. Also about a lot of different things I have discovered. I don't know what to add to that. Anyway, this is the second episode of what I'm calling season 3, which is the third year that I've done this podcast. If you listen to any of the previous episodes, I probably said I'm sorry for not posting episodes very often, and I'm not going to apologize this time. It's been a month since the last one, I guess. Life moves pretty quick, and if you don't stop every once in a while, you might miss it. Or something, whatever Ferris Bueller said. Anyway, so this is going to be a follow-up to the first episode of this particular season, series, however you want to refer to it. This is also going to be a video slideshow, photo slideshow video, if you're listening on Spotify. I'm also going to, I keep adding this shit to YouTube, I don't know why, but there's like 3 people that find it on YouTube, and because I like them, I continue to do it. So thanks for checking it out there, the 3 of you. You're appreciated. YouTube appreciates you. I appreciate you too. So I'm not trying to make light of that at all. I apologize for even saying any of that. I don't know what the fuck is my problem. I'm in a really bad mood for like the last, 43 years. Specifically this last week, I've been just in a shit fucking mood, but that's okay. Anyway, it's Saturday. It's the 13th. It is 10:41 in the morning, and I've been meaning to try and get this done for pretty much every day this week, and that has just not happened. I've been very busy, and fuck, good lord. Anyway, so I went to Japan the end of March, the last week of March, first week of April. I was there for just about 2 full weeks. I was like a day or 2 short of 2 full weeks. It was fantastic, and I don't remember exactly everything I said in the first episode where I gave a pretty, a pretty big overview of what I did while I was there. And I don't know how I'm going to do this slideshow. I don't know what pictures I'm having rotating in the slideshow while I'm talking about me being there. So right now, if you're watching the video, you might just see the fucking podcast logo, maybe the same picture that I have everywhere that this thing is on. Mostly because I'm lazy and probably don't feel like putting a ton of work into this particular video thing. You can find the majority of these pictures anyway on my social media. Most of them posted to the Death Metal Disco's Instagram account at Death Metal Disco Pod. I don't think I put them on Twitter, just because Twitter is not the greatest for posting lots and lots of pictures, at least in, a single post, whereas Instagram is kind of made for that shit. Also videos. The videos didn't post to the the podcast's Instagram. They went to my personal, which gave me the option to post the pictures to the podcast's Instagram, but not vice versa. And since I was there for personal reasons and not for the podcast, I was uploading them to my personal, and then if it gave me the option, I just added it to the podcast. But for whatever reason, it didn't do video to both. Weird. I don't know. I don't work for fucking Meta, and that's probably good. I don't know if I would fit their employment qualifications anyway. So anyway, I was in Japan, and Japan was fucking awesome. I've wanted to go there since I was 6, and I didn't do everything I wanted to do. Like, maybe move there. But, I did a lot, and I saw a lot of things. I didn't see everything that there is to do because there's just so much to do. Just like, if you come to America for the first time, there's so many fucking things you can do, even if you just come to Colorado. I've lived in Colorado my entire life. I have not done nearly everything there is to do here. I've done more in the last year than probably most of my life living here. But still not everything. So I'm sort of looking at some of these pictures that I'm going to put into this video just to kind of refresh my memory on the order in which I did things. I don't want this to take me all day. I have shit to do tonight. I'm going to the Allegiant show at the Marquee, and Angelic Desolation, and Angels on Fire, and I cannot remember who the opener is. And Angels on Fire is like Satan's Host Part 2, or Revisited. Don't know exactly what changed. I know it's Pat Evil from Satan's Host, and I think Hobbit's still drumming. I don't know who's singing, and I don't know who's playing bass. Haven't seen them. I don't know if it's new music or if it's the Satan's Host stuff from, the last 40 fucking years, because they've been around forever. But, whatever, that'll be good. And then, obviously, Allegiant. Angelic Desolation just picked up they just sent their new album. I bought it digitally a couple weeks ago when it came out, and I've given it one listen, and it's pretty badass. It might be some of their best writing, I think. It's a tie for me between this one and the last one, probably. Production is top notch, so good job, guys. Anyway, back to Japan. So for my Japan, oh my god, for my Japan trip, I flew, because that's how you get there. I flew to Tokyo I left here on a Saturday, got there on a Monday because of the time change crossing the international date line. And I ended up in Tokyo around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And after getting through customs and all that good stuff, which didn't take too long, wasn't super quick. It wasn't quite as fast as when I went to London in November, but it was good. It was speedy. There was a lot of people. Got a train. Train pass is what took long. Waiting in that line was a little bit lengthy, but whatever. Got to Shinjuku, which is where I was staying. I was staying at the Hilton Shinjuku, which was a fantastic hotel. Shinjuku is kind of like entertainment district. There's a lot of stuff, just really close to everything there. Lots of restaurants, tons of fucking restaurants everywhere nearby. Walking distance for pretty much everything, which there's a lot of walking to do in Tokyo anyway, so that was nothing new or unexpected, which is good. I prepared for that mostly. So when I was there, I got there in the afternoon. It was an all-day flight. I left in the daytime, and it was about 11, 12 hours. And so when I got there, it was in the afternoon, early evening there. It was probably like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, my time here. So it was still kind of early for me. I wasn't exhausted, which was shocking because I didn't sleep much at all on the plane. Maybe an hour, if that, over the course of the entire flight. So when I got there, I was kind of hungry. Got out, walked around. I didn't go do anything per se. I walked around the hotel. They had some beautiful cherry trees that were blossoming just along the sidewalk. And where my hotel was right next to a place called the Island. I think that's how it's said. Island Tower. It's like lowercase I, capital Land. Kind of like an iPhone type of thing. I don't know what else goes on in that building. But in the basement, there's 2 basements to like most of those buildings, it seems. They have fucking tons of restaurants. So I spent most of that night looking for Ippudo ramen, which I couldn't find in that building. It said it was there, but I just couldn't find it. But that little complex had it had an annex building, had the main tower, and then something else that was part of it. I can't remember what it was called. But I was wandering around, and I couldn't decide, for one, what I wanted to eat. Did I want to do sushi? Did I want to do ramen? Did I want to go to one of the bars that was there? They had, I want to say it was like an Indian. There might have been an Indian place. Can't fucking remember. There was a shit ton of restaurants in there. And even not in there, there was, on the main floor, I guess it's the first floor, from the outside, there's a restaurant that now I cannot remember the name of. I may have a picture of it that you might see. It's a noodle restaurant, but it's spaghetti, and it's like, I thought they just called it spaghetti because, noodles, and they're like, oh, let's appeal to everybody else. But no, it's fucking spaghetti, like Italian spaghetti noodles, but with Japanese everything else. So like seafood spaghetti was a thing that was on their menu. Shrimp spaghetti, kind of what I would consider to be weird things with spaghetti and then tomato sauces. It was very, very interesting. I did not eat there. I thought about it. There was one night I was actually super, super, super hungry, and it was one of the only things open that wasn't a hotel restaurant. And I did almost eat there, but then I couldn't bring myself to do it. Anyway, so that was an interesting looking restaurant, but the cool thing about Shinjuku is literally like a 5-minute walk netted you down to this little alley, and you could find ramen spots, little bars, little izakayas, which are just the little bar spots that you could find all over the place. Little ramen shops, sushi spots, all that good stuff. Found a place in the basement does udon. I wasn't really wanting udon, but at the same time I was hungry as fuck and just didn't know what I wanted, so that's where I ended up, and it was delicious. The best part about that dinner was I was sitting next to a dad and his daughter. Well, not next to, but like a couple tables away. But listening to them talk, I have no idea what they were talking about, but it was a very sweet conversation based on the tones that I could hear. Like, you could pick up on just general tones, and it was very playful, and it was awesome. I enjoyed listening to their banter, even though I have no idea what the fuck they were talking about. And then on the other side of me was two businessmen that just looked like they got off work and came there for, some drinks and some food. And it was, one thing I was worried about when I was there is that people would just look at me just because I'm a fucking giant and critique everything I did, whether I ordered weirdly because I don't speak Japanese or, just me being giant. If I ordered two things, so I ordered pork katsu and then a bowl of this udon, which was delicious. And none of that happened. Nobody gave me the time of day, and it was fucking great. So speaking of food, there are pictures of food in this, so lots and lots of noodles. I had all the noodles. There was one night I had all the sushi. So the sushi was fucking bomb diggity. And they do it not like we do here in America with all the crazy rolls and then, sliced up into little pieces with all the shit that's inside and then covered across the top. No, it's fucking rice into a little roll with a little bit of wasabi underneath and then a piece of fish on top, and it's fucking fantastic. And I would eat that all the time. Damn you, diabetes. My blood sugar was fucking bananas the whole time I was there because all goddamn noodles, all the goddamn sushi rice, which I didn't really have a ton of sushi except for the one day, but fuck. And then just all the snacks. All the snacks. I had all the snacks. So one thing that was a staple with the Island Tower or Island Plaza or whatever the fuck it's called was the giant love sculpture. So the LOVE. That's right out in the courtyard, I guess you want to call it. It's a huge thing for people to want to take photos of, in front of, next to, on, whatever. I didn't see anybody standing on it because it's probably a huge faux pas. In fact, I don't even think I ever saw any Americans or Westerners, I guess, standing near it. Most of the tourists I saw were other Asians. So it seemed to me the majority of other tourists I saw were not from the West, like I was. They weren't white, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Most of the tourists I saw were other Japanese or other Asians, largely. Just a lot of people, you're going to Tokyo. It's like if I go to Washington, D.C. I've never been to Washington, D.C., so I imagine if I go to Washington, D.C., I'm going to see a huge number of other folks from the U.S. that just have never been to Washington, D.C. So I kind of equated it to that. Even when I went to other things like Kyoto, Hiroshima, I saw more Westerners in both of those than I did when I was in Tokyo. But that's kind of to be expected, I think. So while I was in Tokyo, one thing that I loved, and I don't know why I loved it quite so much, is at night when I'm walking around downtown, it was kind of, some people would think it's chilly. To me, it was perfect. Like I brought a hoodie. I wore it a couple times, but really didn't need it. It was probably at nighttime, it was in the high 40s, low 50s, and it was humid. So it could get chilly, but I didn't find it cold. Especially while I was walking around, because you just, get a little warmer. But while I was walking around, the Shinjuku area is lots of high rises, tons and tons of high rises. And just with all the humidity and the clouds, just the way they were coming in, it was kind of rainy, not so much every day or for long periods of time, but with all the cloud covering, just the lights from all the buildings in the city, illuminated everything in a very interesting kind of purplish haze, and gave it this kind of light blue purple haze glow. And like, I captured that in a couple pictures, and I thought it was the coolest thing. Like, I took a couple pictures of some of the high rises near where I was. Like, every time I came out of the damn 7-Eleven, I was like, oh man, that looks really fucking cool, and I needed to take a picture of it. And that was pretty damn awesome. So you'll see some of those pictures in the slideshow. One thing I for sure wanted to do while I was in the Tokyo area is go to one of the parks, one of the big parks, and check out the cherry blossoms. Those ended up blooming a week ahead of schedule, basically. So I wasn't there for to see them when they were new blooms. They were flowering. A lot of the trees had started to lose them, but I got there. I don't know. It wasn't bad. It was actually perfect, I think. I don't really have much to compare it to, but they were beautiful. And I went to the Shinjuku Gyoen National Park, which they have on the weekends, and I think on holidays. Like, I don't even remember what the holidays, but there's weekends from March through April that you have to buy tickets in advance. And I don't remember what the other rules they had for it was, but on weekdays, it's not so bad. On the weekdays, it's probably less busy because people work, and there was a fucking huge line. I don't remember what time I got there. It was in the morning, but it was probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. The line was massive. But one thing that Japan seems to do really, really well, at least at this park and at some of the other places, like at the airport, is they have people guiding everyone else to the right place. And whether it was just standing around so that anybody could ask them a question about where they need to go, or if it was very specifically a purpose saying, hey, this is the end of the line. That was really cool. Like, even at the national park, there was a guy holding a sign that said the line, or line ends here and starts here, something like that. And he would just stand there, and that's where you were to go if you were not already in the line. And I was in the line for a little while, for like 5 minutes. We were moving up, and there was, I think they were from Australia. They moved up and asked a question to a couple other people that were standing there, got whatever answer they got, and they got out of line to move elsewhere. So I thought, oh, they needed to get tickets that they didn't have already. I didn't have tickets either. So then I got out of line to ask this guy about tickets, and he said, no, you were in the right line. So then I had to go back to the end of the line, and luckily, homeboy with the sign was there. So without him, I might not have known that the end of the line was where he was standing, which isn't true at all. Like, made sense to me, but it was nice that they had that because it was a big line. So I don't remember exactly how I got to the Shinjuku Gyoen Park, but I think I had to catch a train, like a local train, and then it was a 15-minute walk from there. And it was a good walk. And when I got to the park, when I get inside, it was really cheap to get in. It was about 500 yen, which I want to say was less than $5. Now that I think about it, I can't remember how much that actually came out to, but you use your IC card, which is the prepaid thing that you can use for trains, and even in the stores like 7-Eleven. I could buy stuff in the 7-Eleven and just use that instead of my actual credit card or cash or whatever. And it was beautiful. You just refill it, put more money on it when you're actually in a train station, and It just stays there until you either get a refund before you leave if you're a tourist like I was, or you just keep using it. And it's a beautiful thing. And it'd be nice if we had something here, just saying, kind of like that. The cool thing about the park is you get in, you pay, and they give you, they have a thing for maps, and you get a map of the park and where specific gardens in the park. It's kind of like a giant botanical garden situation. And you could see where various types of cherry blossom trees are. And I didn't know there were that many types. I don't remember how many there are. And I think I threw away my copy of the map after I got home, which bums me out, but it was all probably fucked up anyway. But the trees are fantastic. And in the middle of this park, it's like this big, huge open space. Like it's not filled with trees throughout. And it's lined on either side by trees. And then, at the end, there's trees. And at the beginning, there's trees. And then there's little planter areas, and various sides throughout the whole park. I did not walk the entire park. I basically stayed in the same area, kind of around the same area, mostly with the cherry trees, just because that was the whole purpose of me going there. And as busy as it was, which it was very busy, and you'll see in the pictures, there was a ton of people. I tried not to get pictures filled with people, but that's just the way it goes because there's a fuck ton of people there. The trees were just phenomenally beautiful. And one thing I noticed was everybody really, really, really strived to get super close pictures of the flowers on the trees, the blooms. And so I was like, fuck, I gotta try it too. So I got in, and my new phone, I have the Galaxy S23 Ultra. Even from far away, the fucking super zoom or ultra zoom or whatever it's called, it does some pretty impressive work. I had a gimbal. I bought I don't remember what it's called now. I bought a fucking cell phone cell phone gimbal thing it's powered and it does video and connects via Bluetooth to my phone, and it's pretty fucking handy when it's all connected and it's on there. Not great if you're using your phone for actual phone things, but as a video gimbal cell phone stabilizer, pretty clicky, fucking hell. Pretty awesome. I've used it a couple times, like when my first trip to North Carolina. I think I bought it right before that, so that was its test run. Haven't done anything super cool with it, but I used it in Japan a little bit. One of these days, I'm going to try and do something with some of that video. I don't remember if I used it when I went to the UK. I brought it with me, but I don't think I used it just because it was too much of a pain in the ass to switch out from the phone case to the actual gimbal thing because it's just too big with the case. It doesn't fit with the case and the pop socket that I have on there. So that was kind of the only downside to it, but that's what it is. So I spent probably 3.5 hours, maybe even longer, just hanging out in the Shinjuku-gyoen National Park. Little bit of it, most of it was, just checking out the trees, getting some video, getting some pictures, and then people watching. There's so many people there. Lots of student age people, and this was on a weekday. Picnicking is a huge thing in Japan, so I watched a lot of people just having picnics, and that was pretty cool. There were like some school trips that were being held there, which was pretty awesome. Like it was just good to see people just out enjoying it, and a lot of tourism. After that, I started wandering around and just went for a long walk. I didn't really have any solid destination. I ended up walking back to the hotel, which took forever. It seemed like it was a super long walk, but it was worth it. I was drenched in sweat by the end of that, but it was worth it. I really, really, really enjoyed walking around Tokyo. It didn't piss me off. I didn't think it would, but I wasn't upset that I had to walk so far, so frequently. I'm ready to go back, to be honest. One thing that was pretty awesome when I got to Tokyo, to my hotel specifically, is when I was checking in, the reception folks, everybody asked me how the English was when I was there. And one thing that was almost universal was that everybody in the service industry, at least at, places with tourism, so the hotels, anything like that, anybody you would expect to be able to communicate with multiple people from multiple areas, multiple countries, whatever, they had it. They were prepared. When I went to local restaurants, there was generally an English menu. The hotels, even the housekeeping staff, a lot of them spoke English, at least to some degree. The concierge, the reception folks, they spoke English. So when I checked in, she saw that it was my birthday, that my birthday was coming up that week, and wished me a happy birthday because she asked if I was there for my birthday. I said, yeah, it was my birthday trip, and wished me a happy birthday, and then had sent up to my room a birthday gift, which ended up being some tea and it was 3 bags of their tea from the tea shop. Well, it was like a bakery down in the lobby of the hotel there, and a brownie from this bakery, and that was the happy birthday gift. And that was unnecessary, but it was a very sweet gesture. And it's something that if I had called, or like if I had somebody at the hotel that I wanted to send a gift to, that's just one option I could do. That whole bakery has a thing set up where you could send these gifts to people that are staying there, and they can go from something simple like that to a whole huge gift set. Because I ended up stopping at that little bakery every day, usually for a cup of coffee, and then they had this little pastry thing. I can't remember what it's called, but it was fucking phenomenal. I wish I could remember what it was called or what was in it. I don't even know how to describe it. It was just like a little, not a croissant type of thing, but it was a little more dense than that. Almost like a turnover, I guess, would be the closest thing. But it wasn't like that. And I stopped there just about every day I was there for a cup of coffee. And one of those, if they had them, they didn't always have them. But and the coffee, which I thought was pretty funny, was Nespresso. It wasn't Starbucks. It was an espresso machine. Nespresso, the brand, like I have here in my house, which I thought was fucking great. And that was at all of the hotels. All 3 of the hotels had Nespresso machines as opposed to like Starbucks. So that was interesting. So while I was in Tokyo, the only 2 other things I really had on my wish list of things to do was the Meiji Temple and the Tokyo Skytree. And the Tokyo Skytree is the world's largest broadcasting tower. It's basically a gigantic TV, radio, antenna system, I guess is the way to call it. And if you just Google Tokyo Skytree, you'll see it. I posted a little reel on Instagram and TikTok video of my first train ride from the airport to the hotel, to Shinjuku, and that was one of the things you can see from the train as you're driving into Tokyo, because it's about an hour train ride, and it's huge. I don't know how, it's like, I want to say it's 600 something meters tall. The number was very specific, and when you're inside, it's got stuff on the walls and pictures and everything down in the lobby area about the construction of the tower and how long it took and why it is the height it is. And I cannot for the life of me remember what that shit means now, and I'm really sad about that, so I'm gonna have to Google it just for my own edification, because it was a very specific reason. And there's something about the name of the Tokyo Skytree itself that starts with an M. I really should have looked this shit up. Of course, I was going to put an outline together, and I just never got around to it this week. But the name actually means the number for the height that it is. It wasn't anything special there, but the number for the height itself came to the name, and I think the name had something special, and I'm really feeling like an idiot for talking about it, but not knowing anything else about it off the top of my head. But the Tokyo Skytree was one of my to-do lists. I actually wanted to go. There's a restaurant up at the top of it that I wanted to do my birthday dinner at, and ended up not being able to do it just because they don't accept reservations, for one. And in order to book a reservation, you needed 2, and it was like $200 for each for dinner. And I wasn't about that life. I did not want to spend $400 just to have dinner. Wasn't super keen on spending $200 for dinner, but at the same time, I was like, it's my birthday. I'm in Japan. I fucking want to do something cool. I ended up just having dinner at one of the restaurants in the hotel and ended up spending $200, but it's fine. It would have been cooler to do it at the top of that damn tower, but I digress. So the day I ended up going to the Tokyo Sky Tree, it was super, super, super cloudy, very, very overcast. It was a little bit rainy, really, really, really windy. And I knew that going up there, which you could pay to do, it wasn't very expensive. It was like $15-20, something like that for a ticket to go up to the top. And they have a couple of shops up there, plus that restaurant. And you could get lunch at the restaurant, and they do have walk-ins available for it. But I didn't want to risk that. I didn't feel like going up there just because I did hear a couple other English-speaking tourists saying that they couldn't, the view wasn't good just because it was so cloudy. So I didn't bother going up there, but I did walk around the whole thing. Inside, they had basically a gigantic fucking mall, and there were stores everywhere, tons and tons and tons and tons of food stores, like not restaurants, but actual food shops and just various food markets. And there was an actual grocery store in there. Somehow I ended up in a grocery store, and at first I thought I'd just wandered into one of the normal shops. Like most of their shops look like if you're walking through a grocery store and you're like, oh, I'm in the meat department, now I'm in the produce, and now I'm in the whatever. And then literally I was in the produce and then the meat department and then the dairy, and I was like, holy shit, I'm in a grocery store now. And that was kind of trippy. So I turned around and went back, and then I ended up in the actual food court area of this mall, which was cool because now I'm in with restaurants, not just all these little food shops. And one thing they had in these food shops was strawberries. The strawberry season, I can't remember what they call it, but it basically runs through the end of March through all of April, and strawberry things are everywhere. And they didn't fuck around there. They had like, it was probably no less than 10 different stores dedicated to strawberry baked goods. And that was bananas. And they were popping. They were so busy. I did not even make an attempt to get in line for any of that shit. I just knew that it had to be good, but it wasn't going to be worth it for me to stand in line for any of that. Diabetes. So anyway, I got into this food court, found a restaurant that looked like they have this menu thing that basically has all of the restaurants in their little food court, has their menus there with pictures. Saw what I want, went up there and ordered something and brought it back. While you wait for them to make your order, they give you a little pager thing, and then you go find a table and you leave your shit at the table. That's how you claim it. So your purse, your backpack, you could leave your phone or whatever, but it's really weird to me as an American how trusting they are there. So many people would just leave their fucking purses or their backpacks just in a chair and be nowhere near that while they're going to get their food. And that's something that if you tried that here in the States, especially, at a fucking city mall somewhere, you're likely just to get your shit jacked because people are assholes. But there, that's like, you just don't. Everybody's cool. You leave your shit, and that's what I did. I had a little sling backpack, and I fucking went and placed my order, and while I gave me my pager to walk around, finally found a table, and it was nowhere near where this damn restaurant was, and dropped my shit off, made sure I had some napkins and stuff, and put my backpack, my little sling bag, in this chair, and made sure that, I wasn't going to knock over anybody else's stuff, because things are crowded, and went and waited for my food, and actually, I waited for the pager thing to go off and then went and got it. And it was weird. It was just the weirdest thing, but it was the coolest thing at the same time because I was like, people here don't suck at life, at least as much as they do at home. And that was just a nice change of pace. So while I didn't go up into the Tokyo Sky Tree, at least the Tokyo Sky Tree outside or, down in the mall area was really cool. Just a fuck ton of shopping. And then the little... I guess it was the ground floor where it's got the photos and everything about the history of the Sky Tree and the construction and all that. That was actually really cool, and I'm really sad I don't remember all of the details about it, so I guess I have to go back. Then I ended up going to the Meiji Temple. So the Emperor Meiji, he was the last emperor of Japan, late 1800s, early 1900s. He's got this temple, and it's supposed to be, it's a shrine, not really a temple, but a shrine for peace. He was the emperor that was trying to bring peace to Japan, trying to unite all of the feuding. If you ever hear the term feudal Japan, he was the one that was trying to trying to get Japan to just be cool with itself and, bring peace to the whole country. And this whole shrine is basically what is his memory. So it was destroyed in World War II and then rebuilt in the late 50s. And it was really, really cool. It's on, I want to say it was on like 175 acres of land. And it was kind of a hike to get to it. So I ended up taking a bus, a regular public bus, cleanest bus I have ever stepped foot on for public transportation ever, because Tokyo, everything's fucking clean, which was awesome. I had my earbuds in for my phone with Google Maps on, so I knew exactly which stop I was supposed to get off, which helped a lot. And then you get into this park area, and they had like a map you could take, which I did. And they had, at the entrance, they had a map on there. And I got lost in this fucking thing and wandered around for a good hour before I actually found the shrine portion of it. But I ended up being stuck outside of, they have a dojo on the property. And there were tons and tons and tons of students coming in and going out for their archery lessons, which was awesome. Lots of people changing in and out of their hakama and their gis and getting ready to go to their archery lessons or leave from their archery lessons. And that was awesome. Like, it was just really, really cool to see so many people doing martial arts, traditional, very, very, very traditional martial arts. I thought about going to the dojo to see if I could watch, but I didn't want to overstep. So that's where I stopped. But I sat in this little park. There was some benches. I sat in this park, drank some water, and I probably sat there for another hour, just chilling. So I sat in the park. I took some video. I took some pictures. It was just beautiful. There was a perfect breeze, tons of trees. I didn't know I loved trees quite as much as I do until I think my first trip to the East Coast here, South Carolina, to go visit my mom. And the trees out there were phenomenal. But the trees here and, mountain areas, we got some good trees here, but not great. And the trees in Japan and in these parks, just phenomenal. In this park, they had some cherry trees, which was cool, but they're interspersed with regular trees. And I just sat there. And as many people as there were coming and going, mostly for the dojo, because where I was sitting wasn't near the actual shrine area. Because like I said, I got lost. There was lots of foot traffic on this gravel path. So you'd hear the crunch, crunch, crunch of people just walking and occasionally talking. Wasn't too loud with talking. And there were quite a bit of people coming and going, but it was very serene, and I fucking loved it. And I just sat there and just really soaked it all in and just kind of enjoyed that moment. After a little while, when I could feel that I was getting sunburnt to a fucking crisp, I got up and I found my map again and realized I'd been reading the map wrong in comparison to the maps that they had at the entrance gates. And that's kind of why I got lost. So then I re-navigated myself, ended back up at an entrance unintentionally, because again, I'm fucking dumb. And then finally found the damn shrine, and the shrine was overpopulated. There were too many fucking people there for my particular tastes. Like, that was where everybody wanted to be. That was the whole purpose of me going. So that's, oh well, that's the way it goes. But it was to be expected. So it wasn't, it wasn't anything bad. But the shrine was really cool. Much like any tourist destination, a little gimmicky in parts just because of the tourism. They had some things where if you wanted to leave like a donation or for a prayer or anything like that, you could. Little trinkets, and you write your prayer down on a paper and drop it off with a donation, and there you go, you can pray and yada yada yada. But it's kind of it's a Shinto thing, so it's also kind of a holy shrine. So some people were literally there because of the Shinto religious aspect of it, which was cool. I respect that. That's, do your thing. Most people were not there for that. But it was really cool. Very, very clean, very peaceful for the most part, other than the tourists and all the people talking, because there were lots of groups. And that's, at first I was going to book a tourism package of some kind, like a day bus tour thing. And I'm honestly glad I didn't. The group tour things, those were what annoyed me the most. Families touring, not so much. Individual couples touring, small groups of people didn't bother me, but the large groups of people really did. And I get why people do those, but I don't know. I'm just glad I wasn't part of one of those things, because for me, especially going alone, like, it's a good way to go see stuff. I'll give it that. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I just like to go and be in the moment and not have to worry about following the person holding the flag that I'm supposed to make sure I don't get lost from. So, I don't know. There was just a lot of people at the shrine. But inside the shrine wasn't as peaceful just because of that. It was very cool, very pretty. Too many people stopping to take pictures and photo shoots and all that, which is normal. But I liked it there. It wasn't... If I had to choose which part of the Meiji Shrine to do again, I would 100% go to the little park area and sit on the bench I sat at, or even in the grass, and just chill. That's 100% what I would choose to do over and over and over again. But the shrine itself was really cool. And then when you come out of it to the main entrance, there's giant torii gates, and you come out and there's these giant barrel things. I don't remember what the barrels are for. And in fact, I don't think they had any signs indicating what they were for. They might have. I have some pictures in there, so they're in the slideshow too. But, it was really cool. And because I'm going to keep this episode short, I'm actually just going to stick to the Tokyo side of this right now. I'll do a part 3. Part 3 is going to be in a couple weeks, and that's when I'll cover the Osaka side, where I went to Kyoto, Osaka, and Hiroshima. Maybe break that up even further. But right now, I'm gonna wrap this up with the rest of the Tokyo stuff. One cool thing that I didn't get to see up close was Mount Fuji. When I took the Shinkansen, the bullet train from Tokyo to Osaka, you drive by it, and I made sure to book the seat on the bullet train that would see Mount Fuji as we went by it. But it was actually kind of rainy and cloudy that day, so that didn't happen. But one thing that did happen, and I didn't catch it, at least the first couple of days, I think it was like either Thursday or Friday, so almost towards the end of the week. I'd been in this hotel 4 or 5 days already, and I looked out my window, and ta-da! The sun was setting, and you could see, not very super clear, but I could see the silhouette of Mount Fuji, and I wasn't positive, and then I looked on Google Maps, and I was like, holy shit, that's Mount Fuji. So I got some pictures, and because my phone camera is pretty awesome, I was able to zoom in, and granted, it's not clear at all, really, but it was pretty awesome. Not gonna lie, I was pretty stoked to at least get that, and that was before I ever took the bullet train, so I hoped to have seen it, but it didn't happen, so at least I got that. I guess I just need to go back. The one thing that was kind of a bummer, other than not seeing Mount Fuji up close and personal, and I could have taken a trip, like a day trip down to it, but I just didn't do that, was my birthday dinner. I had booked a reservation they had 3 restaurants, very upscale restaurants in the hotel itself, all on the same floor, all with the same basic waiting room and everything, and then a nice bar. And I booked the reservation, and it's a multi-course thing, and it was a wagyu steak with some sushi and a nice dessert and yada yada yada. And with I think I had 2 drinks. They were both they were bourbons. I can't remember. They're Japanese whiskey. It was $200, and it was extraordinarily lackluster. It was delicious, but I mean, I was still super hungry after that. The most filling part of the whole thing was the sushi pieces. There were 6 or 7 pieces of sushi because I added extra pieces. It was really, really delicious and very, very pretty. And I have pictures of all the pieces on there, or all the courses in the slideshow. But I was like, that's still pretty fucking hungry. So that was kind of a bummer, but whatever. It was still worth it. And I was happy to have that experience, especially for my birthday dinner. I have a feeling the Tokyo Skytree restaurant would have been similar. Might have been a little more food. I don't know, but looking at the menu, when I was looking at reserving that, I get the impression it would have been pretty much on par with that, but with a better view. So I guess I'm going to wrap this up. I do appreciate it if you've listened to this episode or watched the slideshow on the Spotify for the last however long this ends up being. Like I said, I really do appreciate anybody who gives this podcast any attention whatsoever. It's just me telling stories, and if anybody listens, that's cool. I thank you. I'm going to edit this and do this slideshow thing, and I'm just going to post this tonight. I was going to wait till Monday, but I have another episode dropping on Monday as well, where I interview my friend Tasha. And Tasha, she's a content creator, and she creates the content that you have to be a certain age to really watch, legally. So, yeah, and that's a video interview too. So I highly recommend. It's, we don't get anything crazy or anything, because we're not trying to get nuts, but that's just a video interview, and that'll be on Spotify, the video itself, and then eventually on YouTube. But it's going on Spotify for sure, and that'll drop Monday morning. This one is going to drop either tonight, Saturday. I don't know, you guys don't know this shit. Anyway, yeah. Thank you for listening. I love you all.